What's up, you guys? Today is day 3 of our Bible reading plan. Today, we are going to be reading Genesis chapters 9 through 12. Again, Genesis chapters 9 through 12. If you're barely finding me in this video, I highly encourage you to watch the first videos. By the way, my name is Ezzy. Don't forget to subscribe so you can get all of these uploads. And let's not forget that this week, the caption, the title, the logo, whatever you want to call it, is there's nothing too hard for God. There is nothing too hard for God. What this basically is just me reading through the Bible with you this year so that we can get through this whole book together. But also, obviously, as I read through it, I comment about what comes to mind, what is provoked in my spirit, or whatever I'm just thinking, whatever is just from my own foolish head. And so, again, I'm not a pastor or anything like that. I'm just a girl that really, really loves her Bible. And I just want to read my entire Bible this year. And I want to do it with you. And so I'm happy that you've caught me here. And I hope that you continue to join me on this journey. So let's just get right into it. So, again, day 3, Genesis chapters 9 through 12, we were reading about Noah and the flood and the ark. And so on chapter 9, it says, God confirms his covenant. It says, then God blessed Noah and his sons and told them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth, all the animals of the earth, all the birds of the sky, all the small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the fish in the sea will look on you with fear and terror. I have placed them in your power. I have given them to you for food, just as I have given you grain and vegetables, but you must never eat any meat that still has the life blood in it. That still has the lifeblood in it. Like, in other words, you shouldn't be eating animals that are still alive. And then this just also kind of reminds me, like, this is clearly, at least in the scripture, the way that I translate it is that God says that you can eat meat, that you can eat meat, that you can eat grain, that you can eat vegetables. I don't know. I always just think about, like, is vegan the best path? Is it okay to eat meat? Like, is it just like, I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, it's just like everything in moderation. I don't know. Still trying to figure that one out. But anyway, as we go on, it says in verse 5, it says, and I will require the blood of anyone who takes another person's life. If a wild animal kills a person, it must die, and anyone who murders a fellow human must die. If anyone takes a human life, that person's life will also be taken by human hands. For God made human beings in his own image. Now be fruitful and multiply and repopulate the earth. Because remember from last week, everything was wiped away from the earth, all human beings, animals, everything, except for Noah's family and the pairs of animals that went onto the ark with Noah. So now they're saying, like, okay, now we got to repopulate the earth. And so it says in verse 8, then God told Noah and his sons, I hereby confirm my covenant with you and your descendants, and with all the animals that were on the boat with you, the birds, the livestock, all the wild animals, every living creature on earth. Yes, I am confirming my covenant with you. Never again will flood waters kill all living creatures. Never again will a flood destroy the earth. And then we're going on to verse 12, which says, then God said, I am giving you a sign of my covenant with you and with all living creatures for all generations to come. I have placed my rainbow in the clouds. It is a sign of my covenant with you and with all the earth. Now, again, I have placed the rainbow in the clouds. It is a sign of my covenant with you and with all the earth. The rainbow is that sign, that promise that God made, that he wouldn't flood the earth again. So, because I know it's used for other things, but this is what it actually, the one who put it there, this is what he's saying it represents. And so now it says on verse 14, when I send clouds over the earth, the rainbow will appear in the clouds, and I will remember my covenant with you and with all living creatures. Never again will the floodwaters destroy all life. When I see the rainbow in the clouds, I will remember the eternal covenant between God and every living creature on earth. Then God said to Noah, yes, this rainbow is the sign of the covenant I am confirming with all the creatures on the earth. So isn't that amazing? It's really amazing because think about it. Like when we see a rainbow, first of all, we're like, wow, that's so beautiful. Look at that rainbow. And then, but it's that eternal covenant. It's that sign of that eternal covenant that God has. Okay, so now verse 18, we're reading about Noah's sons. It says, the sons of Noah came out of the boat with their father. The sons of Noah who came out of the boat with their father were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham is the father of Canaan. From these three sons of Noah came all the people who now populate the earth. So I know, like, we always say, like, oh, we all came from Adam and Eve, but even closer than Adam and Eve, we all came from Noah. And then it says, let's see, after the flood, Noah began to cultivate the ground and he planted a vineyard. Is it vineyard or vineyard? I don't know. One day he drank some wine. One day, so just look at, even though God calls you, like, it doesn't mean you're perfect. Like, you're still gonna make mistakes. Like, don't think you have to be perfect for God to call you. There is nobody perfect among us. Okay, Jesus was the only one, and that's it. And so it says, one day he drank some wine he had made, and he became drunk and lay naked inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that his father was naked and went outside and told his brothers. Then Shem and Japheth took a robe, held it over their shoulders, and backed into the tent to cover their father. As they did this, they looked the other way so they would not see him naked. When Noah woke up from his stupor, he learned what Ham, his youngest son, had done. Then he cursed Canaan, the son of Ham. Then he cursed Canaan, the son of Ham. Isn't that interesting? Because he's like, okay, I'm not going to curse my own son, but I'll curse my son's son. Because, like, like, nothing affects you more than, like, your children. Like, I feel for me, like, my children, that's my weak spot. That's like what could break me, make me, like, I don't know, so I just find it interesting. He didn't curse his son, he cursed his son. So then he cursed Canaan, the son of Ham. It says, may Canaan be cursed. May he be the lowest of servants to his relatives. Then Noah said, may the Lord, the God of Shem, be blessed, and may Canaan be his servant. May God expand the territory of Japheth. May Japheth share the prosperity of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. Noah lived another 350 years after the great flood. He lived 950 years, and then he died. Wow. And then, so now we're going on to chapter 10, which says, this is the account of the families of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the three sons of Noah. Many children were born to them after the great flood. Oh, Lord, here we go, I think, with some names. So just hold on tight. Hold on tight. Hold on to this part, or like lower the volume. Okay, I'm just kidding. Don't. We got to get through it. And so it says the descendants of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshesh, and Tyrus. The descendants of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Ripath, and Togamar. Honestly, just like go read this yourself instead of listening to me mispronounce all of these precious names. The descendants of Javan were Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Rodanim. Their descendants became the seafaring peoples that spread out to various lands, each identified by its own language, clan, and national identity. The descendants of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. The descendants of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Rama, and Sabteka. The descendants of Ramah were Sheba and Dedan. Cush was also the ancestor of Nimrod, who was the first heroic warrior on earth. Since he was the greatest hunter in the world, his name became proverbial. People would say this man is like Nimrod, the greatest hunter in the world. He built his kingdom in the land of Babylonia, with the cities of I'm sorry, I'm losing track with all these names with the cities of Babylon, Erech, Akkad, and Kalnek. From there, he expanded his territory to Assyria, building the cities of Nineveh, Rehoboth, Kala, and Rezin. The great city located between Nineveh and Calah, Mizraim, was the ancestor of the Ludites, Anamites, Lehabites, Nephatites, Pathrasites, Chalcidites, and the Captorites, from whom the Philistines came. Just go read that on your own, because literally, like, I probably said not a single one of those words correctly. And that was chapter 10. And then we're going on to verse 15, which says Canaan's oldest son was it Sidon, the ancestor of the Sidonians? I don't know. Canaan was also the ancestor of the Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Hivites, Archites, Sinites, Arvadites, Zemarites, and Hammatites. The Canaanite clans eventually spread out, and the territory of Canaan extended from Sidon in the north to, is it Gera and Gaza in the south and the east, as far as Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zobium near Elisha. Oh, Lord Jesus, help me. These were the descendants of Ham, identified by clan, language, territory, and national identity. Descendants of Shem. We're almost there. We're almost through these descendants. Okay. Descendants of Shem's sons were also born to Shem, the older brother of Japheth. Shem was the ancestor of all the descendants of Eber. The descendants of Shem were Elam, Ashur, Aphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The descendants of Aram were Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah, and Shelah was the father of Eber. Eber had two sons. The first was named Peleg, which means division, for during his lifetime, the people of the world were divided into different language groups. His brother's name was Joktan. Joktan was the ancestor of Almodad, Shelep, Hazar, Mavith, Jera, Hadoram, Uzal, Dikla, Obal, Bimeo, Sheba, Ophir, Avila, and Joba. All these were the descendants of Joktan. The territory they occupied extended from Mesha all the way to Safar in the eastern mountains. These were the descendants of Shem, identified by clan, language, territory, and national identity. Conclusion: these are the clans that descended from Noah's sons, arranged by nation according to their lines of descent. All the nations of the earth descended from these clans after the great flood. Okay. That's like the hardest part for me to read, is when it goes into all the names and all the descendants, because I'm just like, does anybody know how to pronounce this correctly? Because I sure do not. I surely do not. So now we're going to verse 11, which is, we're halfway there. So we're going to remember we're reading till till chapter 12 today. And we're on chapter 11 now. We don't have that much left, you guys. So this is chapter 11 here, which is just this. And then, this is chapter 12. So we're almost at the end. I know once we get to the names, it's like, like brain leaves the building. It's like, it's hard to stay focused and to continue on, but let's just continue to get through it. And also use me as an example. Like, look at how foolish I look and sound reading these names. And do I care? Not really. I mean, I don't. Like, I can't pronounce the names. Big deal. Like, I don't care. I'm still going to read my Bible. I'm still going to dig deep. I'm still going to make these videos, and I'm still going to move forward. So let's just keep going. So chapter 11 says the Tower of Babel. At one time, all the people of the world spoke the same language and used the same words. As the people migrated to the east, they found a plain in the land of Babylonia and settled there. It says they began saying to each other, let's make bricks and harden them with fire. In this region, bricks were used instead of stone, and tar was used for martyr. Then they said, come, let's build a great city for ourselves with a tower that reaches into the sky. This will make us famous and keep us from being scattered all over the world. But the Lord came down to look at the city and the tower, and the people look at the tower the people were building. Look, he said, the people are united and they all speak the same language. After this, nothing they set out to do will be impossible for them. Come, let's go down and confuse the people with different languages. They won't be able to understand each other. So see how it says, like, what I think when I read that part, it says the people were united. They all spoke the same language. After this, nothing they set out to do will be impossible for them. So, like, in other words, like when you unite together with other people, nothing is impossible for you. Like, you can really get things done if you are united with the right people. Verse 8 says, in that way, the Lord scattered them all over the world and they stopped building the city. That is why the city was called Babel, because that is where the Lord confused the people with different languages. In this way, he scattered them all over the world. The line of descent from Shem to Abram. This is the account of Shem's family. 2 years after the great flood, when Shem was 100 years old, he became the father of Arphaxad. I don't know. After the birth of Arphaxad, Shem lived another 500 years and had other sons and daughters. When Arphaxad was 35 years old, he became the father of Shelah. After the birth of Shelah, Arphaxad lived another 403 years and had other sons and daughters. I know I'm not saying this right. When Shelah, probably that either, because is it like Shelah, was 30 years old, he became the father of Eber. After the birth of Eber, let's just get through these descendants again. Shelah lived another 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Eber was 34 years old, he became the father of Peleg. After the birth of Peleg, Eber lived another 430 years and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg was 30 years old, he became the father of Reu. After the birth of Reu, Peleg lived another 209 years and had other sons and daughters. When Reu was 32 years old, he became the father of Serug. After the birth of Serug, Reu lived another 207 years and had other sons and daughters. When Serug was 30 years old, he became the father of Nahor. After the birth of Nahor, Serug lived another 200 years and had other sons and daughters. When Nahor was 29 years old, he became the father of Terah. After the birth of Terah, Nahor lived another 119 years and had other sons and daughters. After Terah was 70 years old, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. That was so much. Okay. We're almost done. It says the family of Terah, which, by the way, just so the family of Terah, it's just this much. So, and then we can move on. So the family of Terah. This is the count of Terah's family. Terah was the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran was the father of Lot. A name that sounds familiar. Lot. Remember Lot, you guys? But Haran died in Ur of the Chaldeans, the land of his birth, while his father Terah was still living. Meanwhile, Abram and Nahor both married. The name of Abram's wife was, oh my gosh, Sarai. And I know their story. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai. And then I think it became Sarah, right? Okay, the name of Abram's wife was Sarai. I can't remember how to pronounce this. Sarai. Because I want to say Sarai, but it's probably Sarai. Okay. And the name of a neighbor's wife was Milcah. I don't know. Milcah and her sister Iscah were daughters of Nabor's brother Haran. So Sarai, Sarai was unable to become pregnant and had no children. I'm just having like a complete brain lapse right now because I know how to say her name and I can't believe I'm struggling right now with this. It's okay. One day Terah took his son Abram, his daughter-in-law Sarai, and his son Abram's wife and his grandson Lot, his son Haran's child, and moved away from Ur of the Chaldeans. He was headed for the land of Canaan, but they stopped at Haran and settled there. Terah lived 205 years and died while still on Haran. Okay, so now we're on chapter 12. This is the last chapter, and this is the call of Abram, which becomes Abraham. So the call of Abram, chapter 12, it says, the Lord had said to Abram, leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous. And isn't he famous? Like, for sure. And you will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on earth will be blessed through you. So Abram departed as the Lord had instructed, and Lot went with him. Remember his grandson, right? It says Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all his wealth, his livestock, and all the people he had taken into his household at Haran, and headed for the land of Canaan. When they arrived in Canaan, Abram traveled through the land as far as Shechem. There he set up camp beside the oak of Moreh. At the time, the area was inhabited by the Canaanites. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, I will give this land to your descendants. And Abram built an altar there and dedicated it to the Lord, who had appeared to him. After that, Abram traveled south and set up camp in the hill country, with Bethel to the west and Ai to the east. There he built another altar and dedicated it to the Lord, and he worshiped the Lord. Then Abram continued traveling south by stages towards the Negev. I remember hearing that word in history with my kids, but I can't remember how you pronounce that. Abram and Sarai. It's going to kill me. I'm going to like totally go look up her name because I can't remember. Abram and Sarai. I know it becomes Sarah, but I'm just, Abram and Sarai in Egypt. At that time, a severe famine struck the land of Canaan, forcing Abram to go down to Egypt, where he lived as a foreigner. As he was approaching the border of Egypt, Abram said to his wife Sarai, look, you are a very beautiful woman. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife. Let's kill him. Then we can have her. So please tell them you are my sister. Then they will spare my life and treat me well because of their interest in you. It says 14, and sure enough, when Abram arrived in Egypt, everyone noticed Sarai's beauty. When the palace officials saw her, they sang her praises to Pharaoh, their king, and Sarai was taken into his palace. Then Pharaoh gave Abram many gifts because of her: sheep, goats, cattle, male and female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. But the Lord sent terrible plagues upon Pharaoh and his household and his household. All those names got me tongue-tied because of Sarai, Abram's wife. So Pharaoh summoned Abram and accused him sharply. What have you done to me? He demanded. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why didn't you say she is my sister and allow me to take her as my wife? Now then, here's your wife. Take her and get out of here. He was like, how dare you lie to me? Pharaoh ordered some of his men to escort them, and he sent Abram out of the country along with his wife and all his possessions. That is the end of chapter 12. I'm not going to lie. This was a rough one to get through for me. When it goes into all the names and all of the descendants, it's like, oh my gosh, could I just skip this part? But it's important, like, to see the lineage. I always have to go back and try to connect, like, okay, Lot was whose nephew and Abram was whose son and this was whose son. Like, I always have to go like connect the dots again. And I always have to go back and remind myself, because then I'm like, okay, who did this person, like, who did he come from? And so if you get confused with all that, I just want to share with you that you're not the only one. But that's it for day 3, you guys. Tomorrow we are reading Genesis chapter 13 to 14. And just looking ahead, it's Abram and Lot separate. And then Abram rescues Lot and the Lord's covenant promise to Abram. Oh, and then that's where it ends. So I believe it's just like those 1, 2, 3 chapters. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next one. All right, bye.